Welcome traders to our post-week market review. So starting off from where the market originally opened up, indicated by this sort of drawing as you can see here. So originally we saw price open up bearish with price finding support at around the level of 3,325. As you can see from this level, price then pushed up as we spoke about also in our our midweek technical analysis. Price reached the level of 3,355 before finding resistance and then dropping back down to the key area and key pivotal point for gold at 3,330. Price then slowly creeped up until we saw the the New York session volatility and volume kick in, which then drove price all the way down to the key pivotal point again at 3,313. Price since then throughout the Asian session and early hours of the London session into the New York session, we saw price creep back up to that level of around 3,350. As you can see, price then sort of started to consolidate in a bearish fashion with the last level of support found at one of our points of interest at around 3,320. As you can see, today we have had an enormous amount of bullish volume and volatility, with price pushing roughly over 400 pips. Around 400 pips. With price pushing all the way to where it is now at around 3,370, which is a very, very key point for gold. So if you remember in a previous video that we would have recorded not long from now, you can see that the level that we are currently testing on, you can see that is a main pivotal point for gold. We have seen price test within this area as both support and resistance multiple times when we do see price come up to this level. As you can see in the previous times, I will just sort of show you what I'm looking at. In the previous times that we have seen price sort of arise above this level of obviously 3,370, we have seen sort of price come up a little bit and then drop back down after finding resistance at the key level of 3,445, give or take. Why is this level so important? This level is so important because it is the sort of last fail-safe for gold to sort of hold as a resistance, giving sellers the opportunity to step into the market to then drive price down. As you can see, if I go to our hour 4, you can see that price has been consolidating for quite some time. What I'm actually going to do right now while I talk, I'm going to go ahead and delete these drawings just to clean a little, give you a bit of a clearer picture, because there's a lot going on. Even for me, it is a bit noisy right now. But so the area that we're currently in is a main consolidating point, or a consolidation phase point on the higher time frames, that is for gold. Why do I say that? So the reason I say that is, as you can see, since that new or the most recent all-time high was created at 3,500, indicated by this sort of circle that we have drawn, you can see that price has been more or less consolidating on the higher time frames. You can see that price has been finding resistance and support constantly and consistently, with price respecting these areas in a consistent fashion. So now I've got rid of most of these drawings. Let's go back to our hour 1 and scroll back. As you can see, we have sort of been consolidating in more or less, if I go ahead and drag a big box, more or less this area. And obviously, as you've been watching these videos, you will now be able to agree with me that price has been consolidating in these areas, in this area, and moving sideways. Obviously, if I go to our daily, you can see that price has consolidated at this level of around 3,430 for quite some time now. Matter of fact, we haven't seen consolidation like this since the impact of COVID, which is actually very, very significant for gold right now. So then if we go back down to our hour, then we'll go ahead and delete this box. So what does that mean for gold? So obviously we have had this bullish impulse enter within the market, pushing price up. We can have a look at our most recent economic news. So as you can see, we have seen some CFTC disaggregated commitments. We've also seen some, pretty much all the news across all the board is to do with the CFTC news. So obviously something, if we go ahead and out and go to our dollar index, you can see that something has definitely happened for gold to just completely drop. For gold to completely rise. The reason for that, and again, if you remember, and if you have been watching these videos consistently, you remember that if the US dollar is strong, gold will weaken. If the dollar weakens, the the price of gold will strengthen. The reason for that being, if you are new, I will explain it again. The reason why we see gold go up when the value of the US dollar decreases, indicated here by the DXY, the dollar index. The reason for that is because people get scared, and investors get scared. So when they see the dollar decreasing in value, people then sort of, as a safe haven, go and buy the most valuable asset, which is gold. So going back to gold then, where are we? We are here. So going back to gold, we can now see that price is definitely testing at that level of 3,370 with the enormous strength of this most recent bullish move. We are definitely going to expect, based on current price action, to see this bullish move continue. The next possible level for gold to push up to, what we're going to go ahead and do, I'm going to do something I don't normally do here, and I'm going to go to our line chart and just have a little bit of a closer look. So the next level, the next major point that we're going to be looking at is around that 3,400 level. Once we see price come to that level, we could either see price test at this level as a resistance, causing price to then drop back down and continue in this sideways consolidating phase that we have seen since that most previous all-time high was created at 3,500. However, if we do see that level of 3,400 broken through, there's going to be a final sort of two levels at around 3,425 and 3,440. Obviously, I don't expect gold to continue to push at the rate that we've just seen at the end of this week, but there definitely is the possibility. So if we are to see this level of 3,340 broken through before our next technical analysis video, which will of course be our midweek technical analysis video, then I will say this: if gold breaks through this 3,440 level and does not respect it as a resistance, we are most likely, or most definitely, going to see a new all-time high created, or the most recent all-time high of 3,500 tested as a resistance. But I'm sure by our midweek technical analysis, we will have seen gold come to around that price of 3,400. So going back to our candlesticks then, and sort of zooming in real quick, just get one last picture. So in conclusion, this week thus far, we have been in a consolidating fashion with price with the top side resistance of around 3,350 and the bottom side support of around 3,325, give or take. Obviously, we have seen some slippage with price going all the way down to 3,313 and also with price going to 3,330, but we have sort of been consolidating in those main two areas. As of recently, we have now seen that bullish impulse, that bullish injection of extreme bullish volatility and volume, driving price all the way to that next point of interest, which is a very, very significant point for gold to be at now, especially going into next week. So that's going to be our post-week market review. I hope you're sort of in line, in touch, you feel a little bit better now, especially going into next week. So what we're looking for here, if I go down to our minute 15 real quick, just as a sort of last thing. So what we're looking for here is, if we see price test as a resistance level, we're going to be looking at these main points of interest, which is indicated and marked by these purple rectangle boxes. So our next level, if we see price test at this level of 3,370 and start to drop, we'll look at 3,355 and then 3,340. If we see price break this most recent all-time high, higher high of 3,378, we're then going to be looking at our lower time frame level of 3,385. If we then see that level broken through, we're then going to be looking for price to touch that around on or above that level of 3,400. So exciting for gold, especially going into next week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap things up here. That is going to be our post-week market review. I am excited to post our write-up technical analysis at the end of tomorrow, and I'm also excited to tap back in with you guys on the Wednesday. So once again, that's going to be our post-week market review. I hope you've all enjoyed. I hope you've had an amazing weekend, and I hope you have had a good week within the markets. I know we have, so I definitely hope you have too. But yeah, that's going to be our post-week market review. I hope you've all enjoyed, as always. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.